Good Shabbos, and welcome to Congregation Beth Yeshurun. It's a pleasure to have you with us from wherever you're watching. Tonight we begin Shabbat, and we also celebrate the bar mitzvah of Aaron Feldman. Let us begin Shabbat as we always do with a beautiful nigun.
Die, 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 die.
Let us rise as we recite the blessing for the candles for this Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kideshanu b'mitzvotav Vetzivanu lehadlik ner Vetzivanu lehadlik ner Vetzivanu lehadlik ner Shel Shabbat
Be seated. Shalom Aleichem, Malchei Hasharet, Malchei Elyon, the middle of page 5.
Shalom Aleichem, Malchei Hasharet, Malchei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leShalom, Malchei HaShalom, Malchei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni leShalom, Malchei HaShalom, Malchei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem leShalom, Malchei HaShalom, Malchei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Let us go and sing to Adonai. Let us trumpet praise to our protector. L'chuna Radana L'Adonai, page 11.
L'chuna Radana, L'chuna Radana, L'chuna Radana L'Adonai. L'chuna Radana, L'chuna Radana, L'chuna Radana L'Adonai. Naria, Naria, letzurishenu, lekadma fanav betoda. Naria, Naria, letzurishenu, bizmirot Naria lo. L'chuna Radana, L'chuna Radana, L'chuna Radana L'Adonai. L'chuna Radana, L'chuna Radana, L'chuna Radana
Yismechu Hashemayim v'tagel ha'aretz, middle of page 14.
ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ. ישמחו השמיים, השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, השמיים, ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ. Yiramayam, 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 Umlo. Yiramayam, 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 Umlo. Yismechu Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, Vetagel Haaretz. Yiramayam, 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 Umlo. Yiramayam, 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 Umlo.
Now we turn to page 23 as we welcome the Sabbath Queen with the words of Lacha Dodi, Likrat Kala.
Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabala. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabala. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad hishmianu el hamiuchad. Adonai echad u'shmo echad l'shem u'tiferet v'litila. ולתהילה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת לקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת לקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה. We rise and face the door. נקבלה. בואי בשלום מתנת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצולה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה.
Be seated. It is good to thank you, Adonai, to sing your name most high. Tov lehadot l'Adonai, page 27.
Tov, tov, tov lehadot, tov lehadot l'Adonai. Ulezamer, ulezamer, ulezamer l'shimcha elyon. עליון להגיד בבוקר חסדך באמונתך בלילות עלי עשור ועלי נבל עלי היגיון בכינור. טוב 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 להודות לאדוני ולזמר ולזמר לשמך עליון. טוב 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 להודות להודות, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר, ולזמר, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. טוב, טוב להודות, טוב להודות לאדוני.
And now we invite all those in mourning and all those observing a yurtzeit to rise for the words of the Mourner's Kaddish, page 30. Yitkadal v'yikadash shemei rabbah, v'yamad divrach yiruteh v'yamlik malchuteh, v'chayekon v'yomechon v'chayed dekol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'yamru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam u'me'amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitroma v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudusha b'richu. Leila Nikol Berchata Vashirata, Tushbechata Venechemata, Damiram Biama Viamru, Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chaim Aleinu V'yakol Yisrael V'yimru, Amen. Osei Shalom B'mromav, Huya Asei Shalom, Aleinu V'yakol Yisrael V'yimru, Amen. So as I mentioned earlier this evening, we are celebrating a wonderful bar mitzvah this weekend. Aaron Feldman, and we wish him a mazel tov. And during this pandemic, everyone has their own comfort and their own sense of what is safe for them and their family. So Aaron and his family have decided to do their bar mitzvah from the safety of their home, which we completely respect and understand. All of us have different feelings and different comfort level during this time. But today and tomorrow morning, we still celebrate his bar mitzvah, and we still celebrate Jewish life. And the Judaism continues with the bar mitzvah of this fine young man. And so now we rise for the Barg, which is found on page 39, and Aaron, from his home, leads us in the Barg.
Baruch et Adonai ha-mevorach, Baruch Adonai ha-mevorach le'olam va'ed.
And you may be seated now as we continue with Avat Olam, page 40.
Avat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Beit Yisrael, Amecha, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu B'shachbeinu v'shachbeinu v'komeinu Nasiach, Nasiach, Nasiach b'chukecha Avat olam Beit Yisrael, Beit Yisrael Amecha avta Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadta. V'nismach b'divrei toratecha, u'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ki heim chayenu ve'onech yameinu, u'bahem negei yomam v'layla. Al tasfir mimenu leolamim Baruch ata Adonai Ohei Amo Yisrael.
And now Aaron leads us in the Shema, page 41.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, bechol levavecha, uvechol nashecha, uvechol meodecha. Ve'hayu hadvarim ha'elech, Asher Anochim Metzavecha Hayom Alevavecha Veshinantam Levanecha Vedibarta Ba'am Beshivtecha Beveitecha Uvlechtecha Vaderech Ushochbecha Uvkumecha Ukshartam Leot Al Yadecha Vehayuletotifot Beineinecha Uchtavtam Al Mezuzot Beitecha Uvisharecha.
And now we continue silently in Hebrew or English to the bottom of page 42.
Adonai Elohechem Emet.
Our ancestors sang this song at the Red Sea as they were free at last from Egyptian slavery. Micha bocha ba'elim Adonai, who is like you, God, amongst the mighty. Aaron will now lead us.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha ne'edar ba'kodesh nora, nora, nora tehilot, o sefele. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha ne'edar ba'kodesh nora, nora, nora tehilot, o sefele. Malchutcha ra'uvanecha, bokei yam lifnei Moshe, Zeli, Zeli, anu ve'ameru, malchutcha ra'uvanecha, bokei yam lifnei Moshe. Zeli, Zeli, anu ve'ameru, mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha ne'edar ba'kodesh nora, nora, nora tehilot, o sefele. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha ne'edar ba'kodesh nora, nora, nora tehilot, o sefele. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha ne'edar ba'kodesh nora, nora, nora tehilot, o sefele, o sefele, o sefele.
Okay, help us to lie down, O God, at night and waken us tomorrow to life renewed. Hashkivenu, page 45.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom V'hamidenu malkeinu lechayim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom V'hamidenu malkeinu lechayim. Ushmor tzeiteinu uvoeinu l'chaim u'shalom me'ata ve'ad olam ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom V'hamidenu malkeinu lechayim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom V'hamidenu malkeinu lechayim.
And now we go to our next prayer as Aaron leads us, V'shamru b'nei Yisrael.
V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam berit olam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam berit olam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti leolam, oti leolam. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. V'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat lasot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam berit olam.
And now we rise in the middle of page 46 as Aaron continues to lead us in the Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitkada ve'yitkada shemei Rabba, Amen. Be'alma divrach kirutei ve'amlich malchutei. B'chayechon uvyomechon uvechayedecho beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kariv ve'imeru, Amen. Ba'agala uvizman kariv ve'imeru, Amen. Amen. Yehesh me Rabba mevorach le'alam ulo me'amaya. Yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitramam ve'yitnaseh ve'yithadar ve'yit'aleh ve'yithalal shemei dekudesha brichu le'elon min kol birchata ve'shirata. Tushbechata ve'nechemata da'amiran be'alma ve'imeru, Amen. Ve'imeru, Amen. Ve'imeru, Amen. Ve'imeru, Amen. Amen.
And now we continue standing as we reach the silent Amidah, page 47 through page 52.
Turn to page 51. and join together in Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Acha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Acha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu Adon l'chol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Acha Tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Acha Tasim leolam. V'tov b'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. ברוך אתה אדוני המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום. And for everybody at home, it's time to put your arms around each other, and everybody here in families, put your arms around each other, and let's all sway to Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom, Oseh Shalom bimromav, Uyaseh Shalom aleinu, Shalom aleinu, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru, Amen. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru, Amen. Uyaseh Shalom aleinu, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Uyaseh Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Oseh Shalom bimromav, Uyaseh Shalom aleinu, Shalom aleinu, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru, Amen. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru, Amen. Amen.
At this time in our service, we consider all those who are ill and those who are sick, those who need a prayer of healing at this time, as the cantor leads us in a Mishaberach prayer.
Mishaberach avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing for us and all of those we love. Mishaberach v'racha, lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say,
Aaron now leads us in the Kaddish Shalem, page 54, and you may be seated.
Yid Gadavid Kadashime Rabba, Be'al Madivrach Kirute, Ve'amlich Malchute, Bechayechon Uvyamechon Uvechayedaho Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala Uvizman Kariv, Ve'imeru Amen. Yeheshme Rabba Mevorach, Le'alam Ulol Me'omaya, Yitbarach Vishtabach Vitpa'ar Vitramah Naseh, Vithadar Vitale Vithalal, Shemei Dekudasha Brichu, Le'elam Inkol Birchata Veshirata, Tushbechata Venechemata, Da'amiran Be'alma Ve'imeru Amen. Tit Kabal Tzilotahon Uvaotahon Dechol Yisrael, Kodam Avuhon Devishmaya, Ve'imeru Amen. Yehesh Lama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imeru Amen. Ohose Shalom B'imru Mav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'imeru Amen.
So after creating the heavens and the earth, God created Adam and Eve. And the first thing he said to them was, "Don't." "Don't what?" Adam replied. "Don't eat the forbidden fruit," God said. "Forbidden fruit? We got forbidden fruit? Hey, Eve, we got forbidden fruit." "No way." "Yes way." "No way." "Yes way." "Don't eat that fruit," God said. "Why?" "Because I'm your father and I said so," God said, wondering why he hadn't stopped after making the elephants. A few minutes later, God saw the kids having a forbidden fruit snack, and he got angry. "Didn't I tell you not to eat the fruit?" the first parent asked. "Uh-huh," Adam replied. "Then why did you?" "I don't know," Eve answered. "She started it," Adam said. "Did not, did so, did not." Having had it with the two of them, God's punishment was that Adam and Eve should have children of their own. Thus the pattern was set, and it was never changed. But there is a moral to the story. If you have persistently and lovingly tried to give your children wisdom and they haven't taken it, don't be hard on yourself. If God had trouble with his children, what makes you think it would be a piece of cake for you? Okay, that's not exactly the way the story is going to read tomorrow morning, but it could have been. Yes, once again, we Jews are starting over our Torah reading cycle, and we're beginning, well, at the beginning of everything. This past Saturday night and Sunday, we celebrated the holiday of Simchat Torah, the festival of the joy for the Torah. We had our Hakkar Fot celebration in the parking lot on Saturday night, and there, Cantor Finkelstein read the last few verses from the book of Deuteronomy. There we read that the 40 years of wandering in the desert had finally come to an end. We read that Moses, our teacher and our leader, who was then 120 years old, had come to the end of his life. And although he would not complete the task of bringing the children of Israel into the promised land, he had successfully completed the mission of taking them out of slavery in Egypt and leading them through the desert for all those grueling, hot, exhausting years. The Torah that began with the word Bereshit in the beginning concluded with the word Yisrael, the name God gave to our ancestor Jacob. the name by which our people are called in the Bible, and also the name the Bible uses for the promised land, the goal of all our aspirations. What began in Genesis with paradise, the Garden of Eden, an idyllic land of plenty where there are no worries, ends in Deuteronomy as our people are poised on the edge of entering our people's promised land, our own small corner of God's creation. It may not be paradise, but it is for us the next best thing. Mankind does not really last long in paradise. Adam and Eve are evicted almost as soon as they're placed there. And oddly enough, the Torah ends before the children of Israel actually settle in the land of Israel. The Torah is therefore a book about journeys and not so much about destinations. Goals? Sure, absolutely. But destinations? At least insofar as we actually get to live in them, not so much. By the way, did you ever wonder why God does not destroy the Garden of Eden after he expels Adam and Eve? I mean, if he really did not want us to ever go back there, why not just eliminate the place? Nuke it, or at least blast it with fire and brimstone or something biblical like that. But God doesn't do that. Instead, he places two cherubs, two guardian demons, with the body of a lion, the wings of an eagle, and human heads, and a fiery, ever-spinning sword, like lightsaber from Star Wars, to block the entrance and to keep humans out. The fact that God did not destroy paradise perhaps hints to us that ultimately God really wants us to find our way back there again sometime, or at least to dream about it, or strive to get there, or maybe to recreate its wonders in our very real world. And so the Torah is about human journeys, the human journey to discover paradise, or to make our own world more like paradise, and the journey of the Israelites to return to their homeland, the promised land, the land flowing with milk and honey. And the Torah is also about life's stumbling blocks along the way, dangerous people we will encounter, plagues that are all too familiar with us today, the constant need for food, clothing, and shelter, the troubles that we bring upon ourselves because of our own shortcomings and personal failings. But whether we're striving to return to Eden or to return to Israel, it's interesting that the Torah sees the ultimate destination of humans to be right back where we began. And so perhaps it's fitting that just as the Israelites are poised on the edge of the promised land, we roll the Torah back to the beginning and we start all over again with Adam and Eve in the garden. The ending is really just an opportunity to begin all over again. The ceremony that commemorates the end of high school or the end of college is not called completion. It's called commencement. Commencement. That's odd, isn't it? Or maybe it's not, because the end of high school marks the beginning of the next stage in life, whether it's college, trade school, or a job. And the end of college marks the beginning of the next stage in life. The Torah begins in the book of Genesis, our Eitz Chaim commentary tells us, with chaos, and with God imposing order on chaos. It concludes with a nation of men, women, and children poised on the banks of the Jordan River, ready to begin perhaps the greatest spiritual adventure of all time, the effort to translate God's will into the daily life of a community. On Simchat Torah, the commentary continues, we complete the Torah and we proceed in two opposite directions. First, we go back to the opening words of Genesis, and we begin the story all over again, finding new insights on every page, not because the Torah has changed, but because we have changed since we read it the year before. And then in the Haftarah for Simchat Torah, we go forward into history to read about Joshua's leadership of the people after the death of Moses. The ending is therefore a beginning anew, a rediscovery of our past and the wisdom we have gained. And it's also the beginning of the rest of the story, the next chapter in our lives. And so it is with a bar mitzvah like Aaron's, A child who reaches the age of 13 is now considered to know and understand the difference between right and wrong, good and evil, and we now consider them responsible for their actions and responsible members of the Jewish community, able to take up the duties as well as share in the privileges of this new responsibility. Becoming a bar or bat mitzvah means coming to an end of a stage of childhood, but it also represents a beginning, the beginning of a new stage of maturity and responsibility. There are many such stages in life. Becoming married means the end of life as a single individual and the beginning of life in partnership. Becoming a parent means the end of, well, some might say the end of peace and quiet in the house, but let's say it's the end of being responsible only to your partner. It's the beginning of a responsibility to a new, younger life. It's a responsibility that comes with a lot of love, joy, and excitement of watching this new person grow and develop, with an understanding that you will have an important part of that growth and development. And finally, we have in Judaism a weekly reminder of this cycle of beginnings and endings. Every week comes to an end on Friday afternoon, and as the sun sets, we take a pause and celebrate the Sabbath. It's a day to refresh our souls, to revive our spirits, and renew our faith. We pause to reflect on the journey of our lives, and perhaps to contemplate course corrections and adjustments. But then comes Saturday night, and once again we begin a new week. Just as we will read in the Torah portion tomorrow morning that God created in 6 days and rested on the seventh, we too are commanded not just to rest on the seventh day, but to work and be creative on the other 6 days. This weekly cycle gives us the opportunity to see the journey of life in smaller, more manageable portions. Ruth Bryn wrote a beautiful poem about the completion of the Torah reading cycle, and I want to conclude my remarks this evening with an excerpt from this poem. We have finished the Torah now, reading of the last days of our teacher Moses, and we have begun at the beginning once more. We have moved from the story of Israel back to the creation of light, resolved to make a new and better beginning in our study of Torah. Though we move in cycles, like every work of your hand, we're not bound to a wheel revolving on a fixed axis. We believe we can move forward. Inspire us, our Creator, to continue the cycle of Torah. Strengthen us to renew the life of Israel. Help us to bring your light to our world. Speed us toward the bright morning of peace. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Rabbi Morgan, for a beautiful and important sermon for us all this evening. A lot to think about. And now we rise for the Aleinu. As our bar mitzvah, Aaron leads us, page 56.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'tet gedula leotzer breshit, shelo asanu kegoye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kamishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chilkenu kachem, vegoralenu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, Lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu notesh shamayim veyosed aretz umoshav yekaro bashamayim ima'al ushchinatu zo begov he meromim hu Eloheinu ein od emet malkeinu efezulato Kakatuv betorato viadatahayam vahashevota elevavecha ki Adonai hua Elohim bashamayim ima'al ve'al ha'aretz mitachat ein od v'ne'emar V'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad Ushemo, Ushemo, Ushemo Echad.
This week at Beth Yeshurun, we offer condolences to the families of Harold Beinart, Bertha Waxman, Sandra Kostbaum, Jorge Schlesinger, and Blanche Livingston. So we now turn to page 58 for the words of the Mourner's Kaddish. Yikaral v'yikadash shemei rabbah, v'yalma divrach yirteh v'yamlik malchuteh, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayeh dekol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevorach leolam omei amaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudusha barichu, Leila min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiram v'yama v'yamru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yamru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'yamru amen. So we have a wonderful anniversary to celebrate this evening, celebrating 16 years of marriage. Trudy and Max Esses. For Trudy and Max, 2020 has been bittersweet, full of simchas and plans that had to be canceled, such as a large family reunion, including two of your oldest children sharing their 30-year anniversaries, was not allowed to happen. However, you still got to celebrate the fact that your Brooklyn son Moshe and his wife Rivka each became headmasters of Montessori schools. He in Brooklyn Heights and she in Manhattan. Maimon, your Israeli grandson in the IDF, made elite warrior and non-commissioned sergeant in his division. Rachel, your Israeli granddaughter, graduated high school and began her 2-year national service in the Israel National Park Service as an ecological environmentalist in a lot. And your 11 other grandchildren are still employed, thank God, and are attending virtual school or college in their respective locations. And you hope to be able to visit them soon. You miss them, as I know you do. Trudy and Max, thank you for all you do for our community, and we wish you 16 years of beautiful marriage and many more years to continue. And let us all say, amen. So a few announcements I want to share with you. Jewish communities around the world have historically flourished in societies with healthy democracies that champion government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And furthermore, the Talmud acknowledges the role the people must play in selecting their own leaders. It even says 2,000 years ago, our rabbis taught us, a ruler is not to be appointed unless the community is first consulted. And this important value of the election, the vote, is codified in significant documents and constitutions such as the U.S. Declaration of Independence, which says that the government derives its just powers from the consent of the governed. I can't emphasize the importance of all of us voting. I had the opportunity just a few days ago to vote. It's never been easier. I love what our county has done to make the vote accessible to so many people during a pandemic. I actually drove over to Energy Stadium, and right there in the parking lot, I didn't even have to get out of my car. Literally took 5 minutes, pulled up, I was under a tent, didn't even have to get out of my car. I voted. I was in and out within 10 to 15 minutes. It was awesome. It's a real silver lining of these times. So I encourage you, take advantage of this early voting. It's going on for the next several weeks. The great thing, you can go to harriscountyvotes.org and .gov, and there it will even tell you the waiting time based on the particular place you want to go vote. Never been easier to vote. I hope all of you will. You may have noticed, whether on video or if you've had a chance to come to the Barg Sanctuary, that we have a beautiful new parochet, an ark covering. And I want to thank Andrea Stein and Leslie Robinson for choosing and implementing and making this happen, this beautiful parochet. For the last several years since Hurricane Harvey, we've had the same beautiful white parochet that we use on the high holidays. But now, thanks to Andrea and Leslie, we have this beautiful new piece that just looks stunning. It's such an inviting and warm way to enter the Barg Sanctuary. I know all of us will have an opportunity sometime soon to see it in person, but I want to thank them and just wanted you to know that life continues here at Beth Yeshurun, and we continue to do what we can to make our sanctuaries as beautiful as possible. Congregation Beth Yeshurun is a proud community partner for the Anna and Stephen Kaufman Jewish Books and Art Festival at the Evelyn Rubenstein Jewish Community Center. And we're partnering on 2 events, both in our theme this year of overcoming challenges. First is this Thursday, October 20th. Cameron Douglas, son of Michael Douglas, discusses his book, Long Way Home, a memoir of fame, family, and redemption. His drug addiction led him eventually to prison and 2 years in solitary confinement. And his memoir is a harrowing recounting of a story which is ultimately inspiring. And second is a drive-in movie Sunday, November 15th, with Resistance. It's a story of the world-famous mime Marcel Marceau. It's a great book and a great movie, and I encourage you to go see it. I'm now going to turn the beam over to my colleague, Rabbi Morgan, to talk about what's beginning this Sunday with the Jewish Learning Project.
So we're having our Jewish Learning Project program is starting this Sunday morning. We finally are getting it started again for the year after all the holidays are over. Rabbi Horowitz is going to be teaching 2 classes. In particular, one is called Beyond Dispute, which is a special class which was created by the Jewish Theological Seminary in New York and includes videos of some of their scholars speaking, as well as texts and materials. And Rabbi Horowitz will be guiding the class through a Zoom lecture. They're all on Zoom on Sunday mornings at 10 o'clock. So you can register for that by going to our website. And then, of course, at 11 o'clock, he's teaching his class on Kabbalah. This year, he's starting with the Kabbalists of Tzfat in the 16th century, the ones who gave us Lecha Dodi and a bunch of other stuff. And so it's where heaven meets earth, 11 o'clock, his class in Kabbalah. We also have an adult B'nai Mitzvah class this year, which will culminate in the students leading a service in May, if you'd like to participate in that. And we have the Invitation to Judaism class, some Hebrew classes, and other classes that are coming up, including Rabbi Rosen is going to teach a class called 4 Paths to the One God, which will start not this Sunday, but in a couple of weeks. So keep watching our pages and our announcements if you're not signed up for our emails so that you'll see what classes are coming up. We have more short-term classes coming up in the future.
Thank you, Rabbi Morgan. And next Friday, we'll have another show and tell where we will talk about rabbinic literature. We all know about the Torah, but tune in to learn more about the founding fathers of our Jewish tradition. And Rabbi Morgan will be leading that session. And this Wednesday, we have our second program of the year for 100 Jewish men. And we'll be joined by John Conley from NASA's program team. And he'll be talking about NASA's exploration strategy. And he'll discuss NASA's plans to return the first woman and next man to the moon by 2024, and eventually a human mission to Mars. If you're not in 100 Jewish Men yet, we'd love for you to join. And to join us as we are virtual for now with 100 Jewish Men. Now, I mentioned this at the very beginning of services to the people that were here, but starting next Shabbos, and for the next 2 Shabbos after that, the next 3 weekends, we don't have a bar mitzvah. So we're opening up Barg just a little bit for you to come, up to 40 people. We'd love to see you, whether it's on a Friday night or Saturday morning. You have to wear a mask. All the rules of social distancing are followed. But we feel comfortable now to let up to 40 of you here in our Barg sanctuary. We'd love to see you. And on Friday night, October 30th, 2 weeks from tonight, we're going to do something a little different based on the success we had with Simchat Torah this past Saturday night. We are going to bring Shabbat Renewal outside to our parking lot on Friday night, October 30th. Bring your own lawn chairs, and you'll have a chance to set up in our parking lot and enjoy our service outside, up to 100 people. You'll even have the option to purchase a picnic-style meal for adults and kids from our Beth Yeshurun catering department. We'll, of course, wear masks, and social distancing will be followed. There is limited space. Registration is already opened, and people are already signing up. So we'd love to see you if you feel comfortable. We're here in the Barg or outside on October 30th. And of course, we understand if you want to wait, that is no problem at all. Continue to watch us online for the weeks ahead. Finally, most importantly, I want to wish Mazel Tov again to our bar mitzvah Aaron. Did a beautiful job so far tonight. I know you're safe at home. They're all clapping for you here, Aaron, if you can't hear them. And I think everyone feels the same. I know specifically your parents, Karen and James, your proud sisters, Rachel and Josie, your grandparents, Marvin and Sharon Katz, and Bernie and Sherry Feldman, and your entire family. We miss you here in the Barg, but we are so proud of you as you officially become a bar mitzvah this weekend, a son of the commandments. Now we have a special and a very important song to sing at the very end of our services, so make sure, don't tune out after the Kiddush. You want to hear this. So let's go on now as Aaron leads us in the Kiddush. Please rise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit. Ki hu yom tehila lemikraye kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim. Ki vanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim, ve'shavat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
Now, our beloved Houston Astros are in a very big game right now. And I know you're not watching because you're watching services. But regardless of what happens, it's okay to pray for our hometown team. And it's okay to enjoy a little pick-me-up, little song of encouragement that our cantor put together last year, and more importantly, we sing tonight because the words have never had more meaning. So let's listen to our cantor now, and go Astros.
It's still the impossible dream that tonight we can even score. Just one team has come back from 3-0, but history's now on our side. We pray for an outcome so rare. Just one team has come back from despair, and won when the odds were against them. I know we can be number 2. This is our quest to hand tamper a loss, to even the series and show them who's boss. The Rays have to fall, we can still win it all. So let's root for our team and make all Houston proud.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.